Hey everybody, this is Stuart with Wine on the Dime, and Texas Wine Month continues for the month of October, and today I'm here with the 2020 Ron Yates Winery Sangiovese. It is 15.1% alcohol by volume, and it's from the Texas Hillcountry. That's right, not the High Plains, the Hillcountry, specifically Sandy Road Vineyards. And this is just another wine that I'm excited to get into because I love Texas wine, and let's see how it goes. Alright, so from a color standpoint, I'm going to give you a medium ruby, no artifacts, no cloudiness. Alright, so on the nose, I mean, it smells like Sangiovese. I'm getting that black cherry and a little bit of red cherry. I get a little bit of both. There's like a dark cherry note and there's a little bit of a brighter cherry note. Also getting a slight balsamic vinegar note. There is a little bit of like an oregano going on with the nose. I'm also getting a little bit of plum, raspberry, not much, a little bit of cranberry. The alcohol in the nose, it's a little bit higher than medium, but it's not like burning my nose like a Zinfandel would. The nose intensity is medium plus. And the last thing I'm getting is sort of like a coffee ground. Not freshly ground coffee, it doesn't have that intensity, but more like if you have coffee grounds that you've kind of let sit out overnight, they still have some intensity there, but they're not like ultra aromatic. That's kind of the way it falls. Anyway, how does it taste? So in terms of body, it is a medium to probably medium plus, depending on how your mouth responds to the tannins. Tannins are medium. They're kind of grainy, but they are noticeable. Alcohol doesn't taste high, tastes medium. In terms of acid, medium plus. Finish, medium plus finish. Yeah, kind of went on a little bit longer than usual on the medium finish there, so I'll round up. It's a dry wine, and in terms of the way that all the fruit works, it's really there. The thing that I got on the palate that I wasn't getting so much on the nose is that I am getting a hint of like Mexican vanilla. It's not much. It mostly shows up as the mid palate is kind of rounding into the finish and shows up more on the finish. That kind of coffee note, the fruit, the herbalness, all of that stuff was there. The balsamic vinegar especially shows up really strong on the mid palate, which I do enjoy. So all of that stuff was there, but then kind of going into that finish, that the vanilla pops in, just kind of like, hey, how you doing? Like I said, I'm not really getting much of it on the nose. It wasn't until I've had a few sips and I go back, but then I don't know if that's a retronasal kicking in or if that is just now I'm actually being able to detect it because I was able to taste it before. Anyway, like I said, it all plays very nice together. But one thing that someone has asked me to do recently is to try to see what these red wines are like if you were to aerate them. So obviously, I'm not going to sit around for 8 hours and let that happen. But what I can do is get something like my adjustable aeration device, like this Host, and I'll set it for 6 hours, which is the maximum, and I'll run some wine through, and we'll see how it ends up changing the character of the wine through a simulated 6-hour aeration. And this is actually a device that I've used and reviewed, and I don't mind it. It actually does a fairly good job that quickly aerating the wine to a reasonable likeness of just kind of letting it be decanted for 6 hours. So let's take a look at it after 6 hours. Okay, so the first thing I'm noticing after running it through that aeration is that those herbal elements are stronger. That coffee's a little bit more intense. The vanilla actually does show up. And I would say it's on par with probably that sweet balsamic note that I was getting on the nose. The fruit kind of blends in with everything else. So it actually becomes less of a, like this is still very fruit forward. This is a little bit more, kind of like all the elements are a little bit blended together better. Let's see how it tastes, if it makes any difference. The tannins are much softer. Much softer. They're still present. They just don't have that graininess. They just have that same suck the water out of your mouth approach that tannins have, but without that kind of scratchiness. So doing this wine through aeration definitely helps. This is even more integrated than before. So I guess I'm gonna have to do 2 ratings on this because I normally just do it the standard method, which is the standard consumer approach, which is within an hour after buying a bottle of wine, someone has opened it and has started drinking it. Not necessarily decanted it, not necessarily aerated it, because your average consumers out there at the grocery store buying a bottle of wine to enjoy with dinner that night, they're not necessarily thinking about dinner the next day and decanting it like in the morning as they're having their coffee. Like, they're not doing that. So with that being said, I'm gonna give this 2 reviews because it did change it a little bit, but we're gonna see how much it actually ended up impacting the score. So in terms of the non-aerated, from a balance standpoint, full point. Even though the tannins are scratchy, everything else in the body and the structure is there, it all fits together, and the tannins aren't overly done and out of place, even without decanting it, so you're still gonna get a full point. In terms of length, got a medium plus finish, so 0.75. Intensity on the nose, medium plus. Intensity on the palate, medium plus, so 0.75. And in terms of complexity, I'm getting some good primary, I'm getting some good secondary, not getting much tertiary. And the tertiary that I would expect would be more of those fruits to become more kind of developed over time, kind of going more towards those dried fruit elements or kind of pruning effects. And I don't have any of that. All the fruit still tastes fresh. So with that being said, it's half a point. Now going over to this wine, the difference is much more noticeable in terms of the palate. But like I said, that's still a full point. I'm gonna give you a full point. In terms of length, it extends the finish a little bit, but not enough to give it a full point. So it's still 0.75. In terms of intensity, medium plus on the palate, medium plus on the nose. So no change there. It's just everything is a little bit more integrated. So still 0.75. And in terms of complexity, like I said, it just brings more of those secondary elements and some of that herbalness add more in balance with the primary. It doesn't necessarily add more to it, other than the fact that I can detect that Mexican vanilla a little bit more on the nose than before. So with that being said, these actually end up being the exact same score. So if I had to choose which one, I'm gonna go with the 6 hour. I like the fact that I can run this through this little aeration tool and get a 6 hour decant or something that's pretty close to it. And the big difference is just, it makes those tannins more approachable, especially for people who aren't tannin fiends like myself. This, just running the glass through it and just moving on and enjoying it is something that's very doable, it's very easy, and it's something that I think serves this wine well if you're drinking it on the spot. Now, here's what I'm gonna say though. Okay, anyway, by the way, this wine's very good. But here's what I'm gonna say. This wine has a lot of aging potential because those tannins are already that strong within the bottle. It's got medium plus acid, and it has a really good amount of primary fruit. So over time, those fruits are going to mature. Those tannins are naturally going to soften, and everything is going to just kind of develop against itself, and you won't need to do this because you'll have a wine that has more complexity. You'll have a wine that probably has a longer finish, and this is a wine that can get you into the great realm. Anyway, this has been Stuart with Wine on the Dime. If you liked today's review, please like, subscribe, and comment. Have you had the 2020 Ron Yates Sangiovese? I'd be interested to know if you have. Leave a comment below, and I'll see you all again soon with another review from Wine on the Dime. In the meantime, like I said, 6 hour, I'm gonna run this through it, I'm gonna hand it to my wife, then I'm gonna tell her we're out. See if I can, it's not gonna work. It didn't work last time. Why do I think it's gonna work this time? I'll see you all again soon with another review.